Okay, sorry about that. Had some technical difficulties trying to use Rumble Studio. Was not successful, hence the very late night. But that's okay. The important part is that I bring you, there's my camera, that I bring you these updates that I kind of stumbled across. And it's about Luigi Mangione murder case in the alleged, he's the man who has been um, not charged, but he's the alleged Brian Thompson shooter, murderer. That doesn't mean he did it. That means he is alleged. So he has been accused of shooting Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare. All right, so where are we at right now? A lot of people have been asking me for updates, so here we go. As you all know, Brian Thompson was murdered on December 4th at 6:44 in the morning in front of the Midtown Hilton Hotel. As he walked by the front entrance, as you can see from the video, if you go back to it, he was not walking in, he was walking by the Hilton entrance. Now, he could have been going to another entrance. That's irrelevant right now for the case of this episode. We had two photos when that happened. Okay. And those photos are at the end of the video. I'm going to pop on here for you just so you can catch up. We had a photo of a guy on a bike. We had a photo of a guy at a Starbucks where you could only see his eyes from a 45-degree grainy angle. And then we had a guy from behind shooting Brian Thompson. That's all we have. So by the next day, on December 5th, by about 11 a.m., give or take, all of a sudden we had these really clear photos of a guy that you could see his face better, his mask is pulled down, and supposedly some hostel worker on November 24th had checked in this man, who that hostel worker then said, oh, that looks just like the guy on December 4th, flash ahead 10 days, which to me seems insane. Like, how would anyone recognize someone from 10 days ago on the night shift in New York, where everyone wears hoods and masks? Everyone, especially the delivery guys, people on bikes. Okay. So the next day, these photos come out, and the press is going crazy with it. The mayor obviously made the press, kind of crowdsourced manhunt, which is fine. That's totally, that's certainly what you do. However, putting out the photo of what later turned out to be Luigi Mangione in the hostel on 104th and Amsterdam, 50 streets away from the Midtown Hilton, I think they jumped the gun on that one. But again, I went into that in another episode. As this case continues to be delayed, we will continue to investigate it. So what I did this week is, a lot of people said, hey, man, we need a Mangione update. So I do what I always do on murder cases. I've worked several of them, all successful for the defense. And I just keep reading it. Every time something new comes out, I read it. And that's kind of what you have to do. And then you're taking a walk, you have what's called a diffusion exercise. So that's what Sherlock Holmes used to do when he smoked a pipe. You're letting your mind catch up with all the stuff you put into it. Then it hit me the other day, the timing once again. This kid gets arrested at about 9:30 in the morning in Altoona, Pennsylvania, by the Altoona police. And supposedly some anonymous tipster, some good citizen, recognized him from the second photo. Okay, fair enough. The police came in and started questioning him. He had a fake ID. According to the initial complaint, he had the fake ID. He had, I'll read it to you. Okay, according to the initial complaint, he had, when they arrested him on the official complaint, he had a laptop, a backpack that they supposedly did not go into at that time, and fake ID, some sort of a little zipper bag. And that's pretty much it. They didn't list a manifesto or anything. Here it is. Upon arrival, officers were able to locate a male matching the aforementioned description sitting in the rear of the building at a table. He was wearing a blue medical mask and was looking at a silver laptop that was placed on the table. The male also had a backpack on the floor near the table he was sitting at. And this is from the criminal complaint from December 9th, 2024, incident number 2024-29133. I'll just share my screen with you. Okay, here we go.
Trump is fully in the process of draining the swamp, but the uncertainty for many is, will he expose the entire pandemic? There is enough public evidence for folks to be concerned who injected themselves in this experiment. If you were forced to get the shot to work, travel, or maybe you just trusted the system back then, check out this natural solution formulated by Dr. Peter McCullough in collaboration with the Wellness Company. And they just leveled up their original detox formula for $30 less. Introducing the 3-in-1 Ultimate Spike Detox, conveniently consolidated into one capsule, with 4 times more nattokinase, 500 milligrams of bromelain, and 500 milligrams of turmeric root extract. Nattokinase, an enzyme researched for its anti-clotting effects, may work to break down spike proteins. Combined with bromelain and curcumin, it provides a potent blend for detoxification and cellular support. Crafted with 100% natural ingredients, Ultimate Spike Detox is backed by research, offering effective support for your cell's natural repair and recovery. Experience the only formula approved and used by Dr. Peter McCullough, a top freedom-fighting doctor who risked it all. Head to dailycloudhealth.com and use code DailyCloud to get 10% off plus free shipping. Again, that's dailycloudhealth.com and use code DailyCloud to get 10% off. Get back to that pre-COVID feeling.
Nope, not her. Okay. Yeah, here we go. God, guys, I am never using a new platform again because it really messes up my rhythm. Okay, here we go. So, silver laptop that was placed on the table. The male also had a backpack on the floor he was sitting on. Co-affiant made contact with the male and informed that officers were called to the McDonald's for a suspicious male matching his description. Co-affiant asked the male to pull down his medical mask so he could see his face. The male complied and pulled down his mask. Affiant and co-affiant immediately recognized him as the suspect from New York City incident after seeing photos released of him from the media sources. Co-affiant asked the male for identification and provided officers a New Jersey driver's license bearing the name Mark Rosario and a date of birth of 7/21/1998. Affiant took the license and ran the information through the dispatch center. Co-affiant asked the male if he had been to New York recently, and the male became quiet and started to shake. Additional units from the Altoona Police Department arrived on the scene to assist affiant and co-affiant in identifying the male. At this time, dispatch was unable to find any information on NCIC. With the information provided by Lieutenant Hanley arrived on the scene and also ran the information the male provided to officers, but still found that no record was able to be found. The male advised that he was under an official. I'm just reading their words, so forgive me here. The male was advised that he was under an official police investigation, and that if he lied out his identity, he would get arrested. Pay attention to that. The male then stated that his name was the defendant, Luigi Mangione, and oh, wow. I just want to point out that this police report names him. This police report, by the way, was written out right before his arraignment, many, many hours later. Okay. because they identify him here, I never called that before, as the defendant, Luigi Mangione, with a date of birth of May 6, 1998. The driver's license that the defendant provided to officers was found to be a fake identification card. PTLM Fox asked the defendant why he lied out his name, their words, not mine. And the defendant replied, quote, "I clearly shouldn't have." Lieutenant Hanley then instructed officers to place the defendant into custody for 4101A3 forgery and 4914A false identification to law enforcement. Keep in mind, he is not being placed into custody for possession of a firearm at this time. The defendant was placed into custody. The defendant was handcuffed and was searched on the scene. The defendant was then transported back to the Altoona Police Department station, where his property was inventoried pursuant to the Altoona Police Department's policy. During a search of the defendant's backpack, officers located a black 3D printed pistol and a black silencer. The pistol had a metal slide and a plastic handle with a metal threaded barrel. The pistol had one loaded Glock magazine with 6 9mm full metal jacket rounds. There was also one loose 9mm hollow point round. The silencer was also 3D printed. Defendant is being charged with forgery, firearms. Okay, you know the rest. Note this part at the end too. Defendant will need to be fingerprinted and photographed. Okay, so just keep that in mind. They come in, lots of cops. He's supposedly eating or on a laptop in the corner. We've all seen the picture of Luigi Mangione eating the hash brown. So, but in the statement here, it says he was staring at a laptop. They didn't mention that he's eating anything, and you'll see why in a second. Then they call in more units. So now there's several units, and this kid is kind of surrounded by cops. Nowhere in this statement, okay, in this complaint, do they say they read him his rights. Nowhere in this statement did they say until the very end that he was under arrest. Okay. And that is what brings us to today. So I'm going to put on this video. This video is a little long, so hang in there. I won't play the entire press conference that follows it. I just want you to be fresh on the details of what was said by the mayor of New York, by Commissioner Tisch of New York, and by the commander of detectives about when he was caught. And keep in mind, this press conference on the 9th took place at roughly, I believe, somewhere between 2 and 4:30. I couldn't get the exact time. I did find a Twitter poster that posted it at 5:30, so we know it was definitely before 5:30. 5:30 in the evening. Underline that, 5:30 in the evening, that Mayor Adams had a press conference. Don't worry, I'll put the bottom line up front after the video. This is kind of like a pre-introduction here. Okay, so remember, he wasn't photographed or fingerprinted at the time of this complaint. Also, they had no DNA on him. So really the only identification they had of Luigi Mangione was by this police officer saying, yeah, that looks like the guy from the pictures in New York. Fair enough. They had a full picture of his face by then. All right. Here's the first thing I caught months ago when we first looked at this, and a lot of you are back here, a lot of you are back here for the first time, and hopefully my regulars will hop on here too, because you guys have been following this case with me. He was arrested at 9:30 in the morning. This report was written out, this complaint was written out roughly, I believe, at 17:13. So military speak, that's 5:13. That means he was held all day long. It appears that he was actually taken to the correctional center and then brought back to Altoona. We know that's a fact. So basically at 5:13 in the evening, this was written out. This is when this was signed and dated. Keep in mind that the mayor of New York had a press conference either at this time or no, it could have been at this time, but it was longer than 15 minutes. because we know there's a Twitter poster that posted at 5:30, the press conference. And if anyone in the audience knows exactly when that December 9th press conference happened, when they first named Luigi Mangione in this case, please let me know. But the thing is, this was filled out at 15:13. At the time this was filled out, almost 8 hours later, shoot, no, that's 5. Yeah, about 8 hours later, 9:30 he was arrested, 5 o'clock in the evening they fill out this report. He still hadn't been photographed or fingerprinted. We still, sorry, I was reading a chat. Came in 666, welcome back. I'll put that up for your guys' amusement. But it's fair. Okay, but if at this time he's been held in custody basically on an officer, the arresting officer saying, yeah, that's him, and that's it. They haven't fingerprinted him. There's no DNA. They haven't photographed him, which is really, really strange. And I brought this up, if you remember, back on December 10th, 11th, when I was doing those really long streams. There's no DNA connection, as you can see right up here. Collection when they took him in. Okay, so that's where we're at. Now, let me play the video. You're going to see the problems they have, but I think you could already see the problems that prosecution's going to have, because according to later reports and the official indictments, the gun was supposedly found in this arrest. The manifesto was supposedly found in this arrest. All of the key evidence that would tie Luigi Mangione to the shooting in New York was taken in during this arrest. Now, some people will argue, well, they found a water bottle at the scene. No, they found a water bottle near the scene. And you know what near the scene means? A block away at one of the busiest Starbucks in New York City. Yes, I checked. On one of the busiest nights in New York, or days in New York City, is the same time frame as the tree lighting, which was just over 100 yards away down at Rockefeller. So again, I'm not some crazy Luigi Mangione fan. Let me just give you my background. If you've never seen me before, you don't know who I am. I was a private investigator for a long time. I was in military intelligence. I was also in several intelligence agencies. In a nutshell, I've looked at painstaking details of data and analyzed it for my entire adult life. And that's how I got into murder investigations, was because I can spot where there's major gaps. And I told you guys they were going to have major problems because of this. Okay, so without much further ado, let me catch you up. Now here's what's happening. Tom Dickey Esquire, who is his Luigi Mangione's Pennsylvania lawyer, criminal defense lawyer, he's filed a motion for suppression of evidence. And I think he might get it. So if that happens, well, you know the rest. But let me save some for the summary, otherwise I'll be redundant. But let's roll the video, and I need to go shut off the stove. And Cayman, welcome, thank you. Yes, you are absolutely correct. If it weren't for the video problems, you wouldn't know it was me, and welcome back. And you are new, why? But you say the video, let me see here. Got to shut off the banners. Okay, so the video, he said he never looked like the same person to me, but the video isn't that clear. Well, that's the point. The video is not clear, and I can roll that. I'm sure I got it somewhere. I can roll my original summary of the case. I'll roll it at the end of the episode. The point I made earlier is that you had that grainy photo, okay, and you'll see it at the end of this video, of a guy in a Starbucks who, you're right, looks like, doesn't look like an Italian dude. Looks like some kind of Mick like I am. And then you have a guy on a bike. That's it. But supposedly some hostel worker looked at those grainy images and said, oh, hey, 10 days ago on the night shift in one of the busiest hostels in New York City, during one of the busiest times in New York City between Thanksgiving and the tree lighting, that guy checked in here. Now, if you've ever been in New York City in the wintertime, everyone is wearing hoodies. And because there's a lot of wokeness there, everyone's still wearing masks. And because there's a lot of illegal aliens still there, they're also wearing masks. And because there's a lot of illegal aliens there, they're also riding around on e-bikes delivering food or stealing the e-bike or shooting people in the head, like which happened in front of our Brooklyn place. Yeah, true story, a few weeks ago. Point is, there's no way there's an eyewitness that could recognize this guy from those grainy photos. And I'm sorry I don't have the visual aids up. Normally I would, and I have in the past, but I'll refer you to the original episode. So yeah, that right away got me. And then these, the Altoona thing's really weird because, well, we'll get into that later. I'm rambling on. Okay, guys, let me get this going. Got a couple more comments. Let me just welcome everyone aboard. What was your name? I don't know what you mean, Blue Wolf. It's Brian. Okay, let me see. Good evening, Brian. Hey, there he is. Good evening, Blue Wolf 2000. Welcome back. And anyone can chat, but I prefer you chat on Rumble so I can see you. All right, and it's just easier because then I don't have to toggle across different streaming platforms. And like I said earlier, it took so much time. I was trying to do Rumble Studio. I didn't want to call my creative director at this hour. He's got a brand new baby and all that, so I didn't. Before we go to the video, though, let me tell you that my sleep was fantastic last night, and my sleep was fantastic. Why? Why, Blue Wolf? Why came in? I bet you guys know why it was fantastic. It's because one of my sponsors right there is Bioptimizer's Magnesium Breakthrough. You guys got to try this stuff seriously. It's better than melatonin. Magnesium Breakthrough. It basically has all 7 of the key types of magnesium you need. And 80% of Americans are magnesium deficient. That means you're not getting the sleep you want. That means your cells are not absorbing things the way they should. There's a million things that can go wrong if you don't get enough magnesiums, but a million things that can go right if you do. And when you try it, you will know when you forgot it. I went to Lithuania recently. I forgot my magnesium, and I was looking everywhere for magnesium there, and I slept like crap the whole time. But once I got back, I loaded up, and here we are. Okay. So that is, and if you want to get it, try it. Let me know what you think. Bioptimizers.com/Daily Clout. Daily Clout is the channel I belong to, the company I belong to, my wife's company, Naomi Wolf. She owns dailyclout.io. Check them out there. That's why you see Daily Clout in all of our advertisements. So bioptimizers.com/Daily Clout to get 10% off, because crushing your goals starts with taking care of you. And I do mean it. Okay. I do mean it. If they're listening, I will sell as much of this as I can if you just send me a few more bottles. If not, I need to buy some. So it is great stuff that I really love it. Magnesium Breakthrough. Try it out. Okay, guys, we're going to roll that intro video and I will be right back. This is the latest update, newscast. And then it goes into that December 9th press conference. And then we're going to talk about it. But take notes while you're watching this conference, okay? If you're having your nighttime wine or your snack or whatever, get a pen and paper. You're going to want to take some notes, because then you're going to have a lot of aha moments. You ready? Here we go.
The accused United Healthcare CEO killer Luigi Mangione will no longer appear in Manhattan federal court today as previously scheduled. This comes as his legal team claiming his rights were violated during his arrest at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania back in December. Joining us now is CBS News law enforcement contributor and former deputy commissioner with the NYPD, Richard Esposito. Richard, good morning.
Good morning.
In court filings, Mangione's lawyers say he was questioned and searched before officers read him his Miranda rights. What is the proper process for an arrest here, and what are the consequences if it wasn't followed?
Those are the most important questions. The lawyers are clearly trying to dismantle this case on every technical ground. So they begin with asserting that he was detained without probable cause. The officers approached him at the McDonald's, prohibited his freedom of movement, and did not read him his rights before they began collecting what could be evidence.
His defense also claiming that Mangione's DNA was collected illegally when officers gave him a snack and a drink. How are police supposed to collect DNA evidence, and what happens if it's found the police did make a mistake here?
It's that if they made a mistake, the evidence will get tossed out. There are any number of rules for the collection of DNA. Touch DNA is what this is called. If a person is arrested, in most states, you're allowed to take non-intrusive swabs from someone's cheek. And the use of touch DNA is also acceptable. But in this case, they're questioning whether he was arrested before the DNA was taken.
And the errors his legal team allege happened during his arrest took place in Pennsylvania. Can that impact his case in New York or his federal case?
Yes. It will impact all of his cases in that any evidence that the defense successfully gets tossed out can't be used in any of the cases. So this is the moment of arrest. This is the first time the suspect has been caught. And they're going to question everything from the anonymous call to police, to the way that the authorities detained him, to the collection of what was in his backpack, where we know there was a ghost gun and what's been called a manifesto. And in the same court hearings, they also question whether releasing that so-called manifesto prejudiced the case as well. And so they're looking to toss every bit of evidence they can. And it looks like they're going to take that strategy throughout this case.
Do you think any of it will get tossed?
I think there's a good possibility that some of it will get tossed. And anything that weakens a case, and this is what police officers are taught all the time, anything that weakens a case pushes it against you and toward the defense. That's why they're so careful about how they collect evidence.
CBS News law enforcement contributor Richard Esposito, thank you so much for taking some time to talk to us today. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Mary.
Richard joins us every week for more on.
Good afternoon, and I'm joined here today by our Chief of Detectives and the Police Commissioner and Chief of Department because we have a strong person of interest in the shooting that shook our city last week. CEO Brian Thompson of United Healthcare was the victim of a senseless act of violence. Our officers have been working around the clock. Many of them did not go home to pursue this individual. It was crucial that we were able to remove him off the streets of America, and we were going to seek him out no matter where he was at the time. And so this is a strong person of interest. The police commissioner and chief of detectives will go over where we are right now in the investigation. He matches the description of the identification we've been looking for. He's also in possession of several items that we believe will connect him to this incident. How did we do it? Good old-fashioned police work. The chief of detectives and the police commissioner made the decision to release as much of a photo that we had at the time. We sent it across the country, and someone, a McDonald's employee, did something we ask every American to do. If you see something, say something, but most importantly, do something. And they did. And because of that, we believe we have a strong person of interest to deal with this case. I want to now turn it over to the Police Commissioner of the City of New York, Commissioner Tisch.
Okay, I'm going to pause right there for a second because I want to just put a little commentary on that. Good old-fashioned police work, that's what they keep going into. Maybe. But again, I want to point out to you that this press conference was being held before 5:30. I think it was probably held before that that complaint was signed. And let me read to you again what the arresting officers wrote in their complaint at 5:13 in the evening. This is what he had according to the complaint. The male was advised, okay, wait. Yeah, so he had the laptop, right? What else did he have? He had a, damn it, man. Okay, here we go. That's what happens when you don't practice or plan. You just hop on. That's okay. All right, let me get down to that again. Okay, so male, okay. He was wearing a blue medical mask and was looking at a silver laptop that was placed on the table. The male also had a backpack on the floor near the table he was sitting at. Co-affiant made contact with the male and informed that officers were called to the McDonald's for a suspicious male matching his description. Co-affiant also asked the male to pull down his mask, blah, blah, blah. So he had the fake license. He had that's fake license, laptop, backpack. That's all they knew he had at this time. And according to the police, they said it wasn't until they got back to the Altoona Police Department that they located a black 3D printed pistol and a black silencer. The pistol had a metal slide and a plastic handle with a metal threaded barrel. The pistol had one loaded Glock magazine with 6 9mm full metal jacket rounds. Here's the problem. If they filled out this report at 5:13, how the hell do these people know what Mangione had on him? You see what I mean? And if he wasn't, they claim he said his name was Luigi Mangione. Maybe he did. I don't think he's, but again, I don't know. Something's just not right here, because you're telling me they took the backpack and never checked it. They rode with this backpack. That backpack sat there all day or waited until they got back to Altoona Police Department, and they never looked inside of it. What if it had a bomb or some anthrax powder or something? It just seems really, I fail to believe that Altoona's police department's policy is to take the stuff and then check it when you get back to the police station. Now here's what I'm thinking. I think it's possible that certain things may have been planted. Why else would they wait all the way to go back to the police department to look through the backpack? It just doesn't seem like any policy I've ever heard, even though they say per their policy, how'd they put that? Basically, they said, license out name, placed into custody. Yeah. The defendant was then transported back to Altoona Department Station, where his property was inventoried pursuant to the Altoona Police Department's policy. I think they're saying they inventoried it correctly in accordance with the policy, not that the policy is to take it back to the station and inventory it. But again, I don't know if there's any police officers out there, ex-police, anything. Is this normal? Do you take someone into custody who has a backpack, who you have identified as an assassin, without ever going through the backpack until you get back to the police station? It just doesn't seem right. I don't know. I've never been a cop, but if there are any out there, I'd love to hear your comments. All right, let me roll this again.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. Earlier this morning in Altoona, Pennsylvania, members of the Altoona Police Department arrested Luigi Mangione, a 26-year-old male, on firearms charges. At this time, he is believed to be our person of interest in the brazen targeted murder of Brian Thompson, CEO of United Healthcare, last Wednesday in Midtown Manhattan. The suspect was in a McDonald's and was recognized by an employee who then called local police. Responding officers questioned the suspect, who was acting suspiciously and was carrying multiple fraudulent IDs as well as a U.S. passport. Upon further investigation, officers recovered a firearm on his person as well as a suppressor, both consistent with the weapon used in the murder. They also recovered clothing, including a mask consistent with those worn by our wanted individual. Also recovered was a fraudulent New Jersey ID, matching the ID our suspect used to check into his New York City hostel before the shooting incident. Additionally, officers recovered a handwritten document that speaks to both his motivation and mindset. NYPD detectives are en route to Pennsylvania as we seek to interview the subject further. This apprehension is thanks to the tireless work of the greatest detectives in the world, and of course, the strong relationships we have with our local law enforcement partners. On every level, local, state, and federal, we all serve the same public safety mission. And this case, which captured the attention of an entire nation, is another example of how connected we are and how important it is to work together, share information, and pursue every lead. For just over 5 days, our NYPD investigators combed through thousands of hours of video, followed up on hundreds of tips, and processed every bit of forensic evidence, DNA, fingerprints, IP addresses, and so much more to tighten the net. We deployed drones, canine units, and scuba divers. We leveraged the domain awareness system, Argus cameras, and conducted aviation canvasses. And our detectives also went door to door, interviewing potential witnesses and doing the good old-fashioned police work that our investigators are famous for. This combination of old school detective work and new age technology is what led to this result today. And we must also acknowledge the instrumental role the media and the public played in this case. The images that we shared with the public were spread far and wide, and the tips we received led to the recovery of crucial evidence. We should never underestimate the power of the public to be our eyes and our ears in these investigations. This is the third time in 3 weeks that a member of the public has seen something and said something and done something that led to a high-profile arrest. The triple stabbing homicide in Manhattan, the gunpoint robberies in Queens during which an NYPD officer was shot, and now this. Now, the case will continue through the criminal justice process. And while we are proud of today's accomplishment, we must, of course, remember that a family is in mourning. I want to again extend my sympathies to Brian's family, his co-workers, and all who knew him. Finally, I want to thank the women and men of the NYPD, especially our Detective Bureau personnel, with a strong assist from our intelligence analysts. We also thank the SAC of the FBI's Criminal Investigative Division, Leslie Rodriguez-Bekshies. And I want to commend the staff of the Manhattan DA's office, and especially DA Alvin Bragg. He has been working with us 24/7 on this case, and I am incredibly grateful for his partnership. I'll now pass it along to our great Chief of Detectives, Joe Kenny, who will provide additional information. Chief.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good afternoon. As a
Okay. So, that's great. What she said, canvassing, blah, blah, blah. You know what they never did? They never shut down the bus station. That we later find out that he decided to go to the most monitored bus station in New York, the George Washington Bridge bus terminal, was able to leave on a bus. And they claim in the complaint, and if you're on Rumble, I just put my Substack there so you can follow along where I kind of broke that down. You can click on that link. It is free, so go ahead and click on it. If you want to subscribe, that always helps me. But, just read along. But that is the most monitored bus station in the country. They even have a police substation in the George Washington bus terminal. And according to both the federal and the county, New York County complaints, they lost Mangione in that bus terminal, where he was able to go south to Philadelphia for some reason, and then all the way to Altoona, which is over 200 miles away. Why he decided to go to another population center if he's on the run is beyond me. Why would he have the gun on him is beyond me. Why would he have the manifesto, which is written as if someone who went to night school to get their English degree wrote, instead of a guy who is highly educated and high IQ like Luigi Mangione? It also doesn't match his other writings. That's beside the point. But she talks about all this stuff that they did, and then all of a sudden, they never closed Central Park, where he supposedly fled through, and they never closed the bus station. They never put out a notice, which they can do, to all the taxi drivers, yet magically he was in a taxi, even though he wasn't in a taxi until we had a picture of Mangione's face from the hostel. Then all of a sudden the taxi park got inserted into the case. And if you go back and you look at the whole case, you look at my Substack, you'll see what I mean. There was no mention of a taxi until after we got the hostel picture on the 5th. And then all of a sudden we have only two to three images: him walking outside the taxi, him getting in the taxi and looking right at the camera, which I guess you could do if you're not used to New York, and then him flirting with the girl at the hostel. You know what we don't have? I'll tell you what we don't have. We don't have any surveillance footage from the day of the murder from the hostel. We also don't have Mangione, except for the 24th of November, anywhere near the hostel. The pictures in the federal indictment, which I'll throw on the screen in a second, they actually show him a block away, but they label it as the hostel, and I'll show you that in a second. For my regular viewers, you've seen all this before, but review is always good. Okay, so let's continue on, and this is almost over. We got about 5 more minutes, and then we're going to break down what's going on, because they've got a problem. They've got a really big problem. And just so everyone knows where I stand with this, again, I'm not one of these, left-wing cheerleaders. I'm not left-wing at all. Who's like, go Mangione because you killed a healthcare guy. That's stupid. And that's fake, by the way. No, that is... I believe in the presumption of innocence, and I believe that our justice system shouldn't be abused. And keep in mind, the guy prosecuting this case is Alvin Bragg. He's the same guy that went after Daniel Penny for defending people on the subway and himself. He's the same guy that put 34 criminal indictments on Trump, but never put the indictments in the indictment statement. They just said 34. And obviously Trump didn't get any criminal penalties. He just got charged and found guilty, I guess. I forgot. The whole case is weird. But that's Alvin Bragg. Okay, so think of the pressure on Alvin Bragg. Gotta get this conviction. He's 0 for 2 at this point when this happened. The day before this, they just put out this big press conference about how crime is down in New York City. Look at the signs behind her. Lots of pressure. Oh, and guess when that commissioner got her job? On November 20th. On November 20th, that's when she started as police commissioner. Anyone think there's a lot of pressure here for New York to get it right for once? Well, in my opinion, they got this one wrong, and the evidence is stacked against them. I can't say that beyond a shadow of a doubt. Read my suspect, Freudian slip. Read my Substack. Check out the other videos and read the actual government documents for yourself. There's a ton of problems with this case, as you'll see. So let's keep going.
Commissioner stated earlier, a male was taken into custody today at Altoona, Pennsylvania this morning. He has been identified as Luigi Nicholas Mangione. He's a male, 26 years old. He was born and raised in Maryland. We know he has ties to San Francisco, California, and his last known address was Honolulu, Hawaii. He has no prior arrest history in New York. Members of the NYPD Detective Bureau are currently traveling to Pennsylvania with members of the Manhattan District Attorney's Office to interview this subject. This case was brought to a successful conclusion based on the coordinated effort between numerous NYPD units, including the Intelligence and Counterterrorism Bureau, our federal partners at the FBI, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, and of course, members of the Altoona Police Department in Pennsylvania. On Thursday, one day after this crime was committed, the NYPD released a photo of the shooter in this case. This picture was obtained by the NYPD during one of their extensive video canvasses. We took that photograph and we asked for...
Okay, I got to jump in right there. I don't want that to go by you. What he just said. He said the day after we released a photograph of the shooter. He's talking about the hostel picture, which is an eyewitness from 10 days before this happened. They don't know if the guy in the hostel is the shooter. How could they? Here, let me show you. Well, I'll show you after this video, but how could they? So, all right. It's frustrating because, look, I'm frustrated for this reason. Every case I've worked, even when prosecutors have the wrong person, which happens all the time, which is the reason why I'm spending so much attention on this, so much time on this case. This could be any one of us. White male in a mask in New York. I mean, that's literally the only description they had. White male in a mask in New York. I also want to point out that, remember, the shooter had no gloves. The shooter clearly had a black jacket on. I don't think anyone can argue that. But the 911 call said they were looking for someone in a cream or light-colored coat, which is either cream or green. Some people argue that they said cream. Some people argue that they said green. Mangione had a green coat, but the shooter didn't. But the original 911 call was looking, it's almost like they were looking for Mangione right when this happened. Why? I don't know. Before we go on, let me take some comments here. Sorry, guys, I know you want to let it flow here, but magnesium breakthrough. That's right, Blue Wolf. Hey, Blue Wolf, drop me a message. Have you tried it? I'd like to know. Yeah, I am mag loaded. I'm mag loaded. I'm bison loaded. And you bring up a good point. I don't have my TWC bison multivitamins with me, but yes, I do take bison organs every morning. And it makes me feel like Popeye the Sailor Man, for those of you old enough to remember that. The best was when the 911 was broadcast with the wrong color code and gloves. Yeah, that's right, Ernie. You're spot on, man. Spot on. Okay, what do we got here? Former cop here. Absolutely not. Everything would be checked in the field. Thank you, Jeff Bonilla, author. I will follow you back if you followed me, and I'd like to know what you're writing. So they would check it in the field. That's just been confirmed by a former cop. And Jeff, if you want to drop another, or Mr. Bonilla, I apologize. If you want to drop another comment, is that standard across the country, or would that be different per jurisdiction? It doesn't seem like it would be, but I just don't want to assume anything. Thank you so much. Finally. I've been trying to get someone like you on here for a while. Excellent. Okay. All right. So everyone, there is that is the full transcript of the press conference we're watching. Absolutely not. Backpack and person were cleared on the scene, then secured prior to any movement and transport. Would be cleared on the scene. Thank you. Spot on. Okay, good. Okay, and then my Substack, by the way, is brian.substack.com. It is free to read my stuff. You do not have to do a paid subscription. If you want to leave comments on my Substack, you have to pay. But you can read all my stuff for free. I would never keep anything from people, because what's the point? Not the same guy. Totally, in my opinion, and if you read my Substacks about this and my coverage, I don't say that lightly. I have gone through this with a fine-tooth comb. And what I was saying earlier is the last case I worked as a licensed PI for the defense, because that's the only people licensed PIs can work for, was a case in Virginia. And it was, I'll read the case at the end of it, but basically it was so obvious it was the wrong guy. The victim was stabbed in the heart. There were no defense wounds. And the only reason they went after the guy they took into custody was because Clarence, his wife Pam, was with the victim last, okay, and then was found with the victim who'd been stabbed in the heart. And when the police arrived, she said, Clarence did it. Never mind they never even put handcuffs on her. They let her hold a flashlight at the scene. This is down in Commonwealth of Virginia. They let her hold a flashlight at the scene. They never took DNA from her coat because she said Clarence did it. Never mind that Pamela had a history of stabbing people, including Clarence, in the face. But this went on for a year when it was so obvious. I mean, we just hammered their case. That guy still stayed in custody for a year. And if you've ever seen those holding cells in Alexandria, it's like a French prison. It's pretty terrible. And French prisons are not nice. So, yeah, that's why it gets me. It's like, that's why we have to pay attention to these. It's not about, I would never look at anything for an idealistic reason. I look at it for transparency and for the facts. The facts of this case, I just don't think they have enough to say this guy did it. I just don't. All right. A couple more comments. Hold on, just so we can stay ahead of these. Thanks for the mostly non-white background, low contrast. Yes. Yeah, you know, I've been messing with my camera all day. I don't know what's up. Awesome Substack. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I'll leave that up. Okay, so we're gonna continue on, and there's a reason why I'm dragging you guys through this press conference. It does tie into what came out just last week.
The public's health in identifying this subject, and the public responded. Hundreds of tips began to pour into our hotline. Each tip was investigated thoroughly, and we began to release additional photographs as they came into our possession. The NYPD provided these photos to numerous media outlets. Local, national, and international outlets released the photo via television, print, social media, and online content. Luckily, a citizen in Pennsylvania recognized our subject and called local law enforcement. Members of the Altoona Police Department responded to the call, and based on their investigation, they notified the NYPD. This investigation is still active and ongoing. Thank you very much.
We're going to take questions on shooting first, and then we'll... Mark?
I had a couple questions about the document that he was found in possession with. Can you go a little bit more in depth about those motivations that you mentioned? Was that CEO specifically named in that document? Was there anything more about him wanting to go after others? And also in that document, was there any indication that explains us how the level of detail that he went into killing him? Like, is there anything?
Like I said, that document is currently in the possession of the Altoona Police Department as part of their investigation. But just from briefly speaking with them, we don't think that there's any specific threats to other people mentioned in that document. But it does seem that he has some ill will toward corporate America.
Over here, sir.
MJ?
Chief, was the suspect wearing a mask at the time he was spotted in McDonald's? And also, criminal cases often have a linchpin. Can you point to a single linchpin that helped crack this case?
There's numerous linchpins in this case, in the fact that we've recovered an enormous amount of forensic evidence, an enormous amount of video, and once again, with your help and the public's help. So I really couldn't put it on one thing, but if I had to, it would be the release of that photograph from the media.
You said he had a passport on him. Do you believe he was trying to flee the country? And also, are you still looking for any evidence in Central Park in regards to the bike?
We had divers in the water yesterday. That came up negative results. The passport, we don't believe that he was planning on doing any traveling at this time. We don't think at this point in our investigation, we don't think he was trying to flee the country.
The person at the McDonald's, were they buying food? What were they doing at that exact moment?
He was an employee at the McDonald's.
Right, but what was the suspect doing?
He was sitting there eating.
Will the suspect be brought back to New York and charged here, and when?
We're going to have to work that out with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office in Altoona, Pennsylvania. He's going to be facing gun charges there, and at some point we'll work out through extradition to bring him back to New York to face charges here, working with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office.
Anita?
Hi, Anita from the New York Post. I was just hoping to get more details on the capture itself. Did he put up a fight? Did he say anything to cops? And we've also reported that he published online anti-health care industry rantings. Can you share with us some of the services that he posted on?
We're still working through his social media. We're going to do a complete scrub of that. Preliminarily, like I said, he seems that he has some ill will toward corporate America, but that will all come out as part of our investigation. We're not done here. We're still going to be putting this together. We're still going to be working very hard to bring this to a successful conclusion.
Okay, jumping in again. He never mentioned healthcare in any of his social media. So when he was first arrested, the first thing I did was downloaded all his tweets. Like within minutes, I'm like, boom. And you guys know, anyone who's gone through COVID with me, you know, like you got to grab that stuff off the internet before they hide it. He never, so I downloaded every single thing he'd ever done, not just on X, but everything. He never mentions healthcare. He never mentions United Healthcare. Hell, he never even mentions politics. He never mentions Biden. He never mentions Trump. He never mentions those. He was pretty apolitical. And it's interesting. And there's a lot of, you got be careful who you trust as personalities. And I always tell people, don't even trust me. Check out everything I say. Because there were conservative podcasters and personalities and the new media, really. Some of the biggest voices who had no presumption of innocence. They're like, the reason why Mangione killed United Healthcare is because he's a lefty loser, whatever. This guy's brother is a Republican delegate in Maryland, in Baltimore. He might be a lefty, but there's no way you could know that even at this point. Okay, remember those protests that people are like, oh, Luigi, we love you. You killed the healthcare and healthcare sucks. He didn't put those protests. He didn't ask for those protests. Hell, he actually asked people to stop sending him things in person. Those were put together by something called peoplesaction.org, even the lookalike contest. What does People's Action do? Well, they once protested violently at a United Healthcare, but they also are advocating for socialized medicine in this country. Huh. Go figure. So yeah, I just want to say he never mentions healthcare anywhere on his feed and Twitter, which is still up, by the way. Just make sure you're searching tweets before December 4th. He never mentions any of that. And just so you know, the manifesto they're talking about, I'm going to read that in a second. I have it right in front of me. I put it on a Word document so you can see how small it is. He basically, you know what? Let me just read it to you. No, I'll play the rest of this. We're almost done. But he basically doesn't... First of all, I don't even think he wrote this. It's just, it's why would he have a handwritten notebook if he's got a laptop and he's kind of a tech guy? And that was his major. He was like in game design and stuff like that. It just seems like something that, based on his other writings, that he didn't write. It just makes no sense. It makes no sense. Let's keep going.
And the capture itself, did he put up a fight? Did he say anything to police?
I don't have that information.
Oh, sorry. Can you elaborate on how he got there, the path he took from Port Authority and on the George Washington Bridge to Altoona, PA? Same thing.
This just happened this morning. We'll be backtracking his steps from New York to Altoona, Pennsylvania.
I was going to ask if we knew anything, if he took a bus to Philadelphia first and then somehow got to Altoona. But
We're still working on that. We're still working through that.
Is there any indication that anybody else was helping him from the inside, as far as tracking the CEO's movements?
Once again, we're still working this investigation very hard. It's not at its conclusion yet. That could come out during our investigation, but as of right now, we have no indication that took place.
Chief, did he have any weapons or anything like that with him when he was arrested?
He was in possession of a ghost gun that had the capability of firing a 9mm round and a suppressor.
Can you get into a little bit about the technical aspects of the investigation? I know you deployed an unprecedented amount of technology. You also activated the Sentry program through Intel. Can you talk about how that is going to play into actually building the case as far as cell phone and all of the other technical aspects of what you've done?
In this case, it really came down to technology was the use of drones in Central Park, and really comes down to the video canvas that we did. We used every source of video that we could collect, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours from hundreds of sources, and that helped bring this to where we are right now.
The gun is it believed to be the gun he used in the shooting? And there was some talk that it was a veterinarian type gun. Is that accurate?
No, as of right now, the information we're getting from Altoona is that the gun appears to be a ghost gun, may have been made on a 3D printer, the capability of firing a 9mm round. Obviously, that will come out during our ballistics testing.
Oliver?
Yeah, Oliver Barnes from the Financial Times. Do you have any indication like how long this handwritten, is it a handwritten manifesto that you found on the suspect? And then also whether or not he put it online at all?
Don't know if it's online. As of right now, it's a handwritten 3-page document.
Chief, does he?
Okay, so I'm going to read the manifesto to you. But just at this point, it seems like the right thing to do. Let me just share that screen with you. Let me grab this for a second. Okay, so we're going to pull this one down, and we're going to put this one up. Welcome to self-production, everyone who's new to the site. All these really slick ones that you see, I'd like them to do what I do. That's 5 screens and trying to toggle everything, not making excuses, just saying. All right, so let me share this. Okay, damn it. I'll do it right after. I don't want to lose this feed.
You have ties to that area,
We're almost done.
and was he someone who you knew by name before his arrest?
We believe he may have attended college in Pennsylvania, but like I said earlier, he has ties to Maryland and California and Hawaii.
And you knew him by name before today. Was his name on your radar?
Excuse me?
Was his name on your radar? Was he someone who you had been looking into before his arrest?
No, we did not have his name prior to today.
Does he have any prior?
By the way, that's not exactly true because his mom had reported him missing back in November, and that went out on the FBI, and it was confirmed that the NYPD did have him in the system. So they did know his name, maybe not off the top of their head, but they did have him in the system as a missing person. Just want to point that out.
I know there were none for New York City, but is there any prior arrests anywhere else in the country?
We have not come across any arrests in the country.
Chief, hi, how are you? On 2 things. On the ghost gun, is it something you're going to be looking into to see if he made it himself and can he make that himself? Or would he have to buy the gun the way it was?
No, once again, that'll be part of our investigation as we follow up.
I mean, obviously he's going to face murder charges, but is there any chance that he could face any other charges because he was targeting the CEO and because of his writings and other things that we're now finding on him? Federal charges or
that determination will be made by Alvin Bragg.
Yes, what connections does he have in Pennsylvania that you know of? Are they in Altoona specifically?
We believe he attended college in Pennsylvania.
Does he know anybody in Pennsylvania?
Wouldn't be able to tell you that.
All right, we're going to take one more question from Shooting Marla, and then we're going to go. You talk about the manifesto having said things against corporations, but specifically United Healthcare, and do you believe that Mangione acted alone?
We believe at this point, our investigation is leaning toward he was acting alone. So, like I stated earlier, we're still working through the investigation. We're not stopping today. And as far as the manifesto, like I said, I don't have the complete details of that. It's in the possession of the Altoona Police Department.
We're going to shift to Octo.
Yep. Good job, Chief.
Okay, so I put that little thing in at the end because when the police put out their screen, this was on December 4th, that was posted all over New York. I have one of these somewhere. I grabbed it off a telephone pole back in January. But that's all they had. So if you can see that, and I'll call up the Substack here in a second, you can see that you have the back of a guy on a bike with a gray backpack, and you have the gray backpack shooting someone. You never see Luigi Mangione's face at the crime scene. Ever. You also, the fingerprints on the bottle, I mean, the bottle was actually found. First, they said it was found at the crime scene. Then they said it was found near the crime scene. Well, if you look at the videos, the initial videos that were put together, he threw something away about a block away. Okay, and that Starbucks, just so you know, I live part-time in New York City. I used to live there full-time. I know the city really well. That Starbucks is one of the busiest Starbucks around. And it was also I think it was like the day of the tree lighting ceremony or close there too. If he was even in New York in December, which in my opinion is doubtful, because there's really no proof that he was ever in New York in December. Okay, now a lot of you will say, well, they got pictures of him in the cab. Yeah, but did you notice those pictures were cropped? And we never see like any of the data, like the date. And granted, look, we're on the outside. There's affidavits that the defense gets. They're going to get tons of them. Cases like this, every single person who touches a scene or is near the scene or touches the case fills out an affidavit. And the defense has to go through all of those with a fine-tooth comb. There's going to be video that we don't see. But again, why wouldn't we see it initially if they had it, if they were looking for this guy and they were wanting the public's help? You see what I mean? Okay, so that's it for that video. Okay, so now this is the manifesto. Let me show you guys. This is crazy. Okay. And what I did is I just I actually cut and pasted off of I think Newsweek or something. It's and then I checked it against Ken Klippenstein's. But what it is I put it on a Word document so you can see how tiny this thing is. Okay, let me see here. I'm sorry if I'm smirking. I just, it's rare when you get a case that has so many holes in it and you can show it. Like, my thing again is not, I'm just like his defense lawyers. No, a defense lawyer doesn't care if someone's guilty or innocent. What they care about is giving them the best possible legal defense. I had Janine Eunice, a former defense attorney, who's still an attorney, but she was actually a public defender in Midtown. And, basically that's the thing. Like, defense attorneys will never ask if you're guilty or innocent. They're there to give you the best possible defense, okay, under our system. And so people should always remember that. Okay, so I took the manifesto, if you could call it that, and I put it on a Word document. This is, if you haven't read it, the entire manifesto is 261 words. That's it. This is the whole thing. Okay. To the feds, I'll keep this short because I do respect what you do for our country. To save you a lengthy investigation, I state plainly that I wasn't working with anyone. This was fairly trivial. Some elementary social engineering, basic CAD, computer-assisted design, a lot of patience. The spiral notebook, if present, has some straggling notes and to-do lists that illuminate the gist of it. My tech is pretty locked down because I work in engineering, so probably not much info there. I do apologize for any strife of traumas, but it had to be done. Frankly, these parasites simply had it coming. A reminder, the U.S. has the #1 most expensive healthcare system in the world, yet we rank roughly number 42 in life expectancy. United is and it says indecipherable, largest company in the U.S. by market cap, behind only Apple, Google, and Walmart. It has grown and grown, but as our life expectancy. He misspelled has. No, the reality is, that's incorrect grammar. These indecipherable have simply gotten too powerful, and they continue to abuse our country for immense profit because the American public has he spelled ALLWE, dead, all wed, them to get away with it. Obviously, the problem is more complex, but I do not have space, and frankly, I do not pretend to be the most qualified person to lay out the full argument, but many have illuminated the corruption and greed, e.g. Rosenthal Moore, he's talking about Michael Moore, decades ago, and the problems simply remain. It is not an issue of awareness at this point, but clearly power games at play, evidently, no comma, I am the first to face it with such brutal honesty. That's the whole manifesto. Okay. That's their smoking gun, apparently, except for the gun. All right. So where does this take us? So this is supposedly part of the evidence in Pennsylvania. Same with the ghost gun and all that. Now this is where it gets good. Okay. This is where it gets good. And I knew this would be coming. We played the videos of the lawyer, everything like that. So if you haven't read the manifesto, I'll put the link to it up in the Rumble description. Please go over to Rumble if you're not there right now. You can see it right there at the bottom. It helps me a lot better if you're on Rumble. It makes it a lot easier to get you guys things because I can't post across every single platform. But let me just take a short break just so I can make sure I shut off the stove and make sure that I'm not about to get swatted. Let me see if I have the original video from a previous stream. And what I want to do, this just kind of, I kind of put together a montage of things that were laid out. And I went on like a 4-hour rant when this thing started. Okay, so that's not it. But yeah, basically, I just want you to see how the story changed, and that's what I did with this video. So let me check this. There's 4 hours. I'm just going through here, I'll share the screen so you're not sitting there wondering what I'm doing. Okay, so over on my Rumble channel, you can see... yeah, there we go. All right, so I'm going back to December here. And that one. Okay. I think this one might have the video in it. Yeah, so for people that maybe didn't see as much. Nope, that's definitely not it. You can see I have several videos on this. Let's see if this is the one. And the reason why I backed off this case is just there was no new information. Okay, that is his arraignment. Sorry, guys. Let's see if this is it. Yeah, this is pretty good. Let me just get to that part there. Yeah, so again, all right, so by the way, this is the full viewer discretion advised, but you could see here, okay, so that's the right where he got shot. Weirdly, and it's just Google Maps, but weirdly, this guy wearing the exact same suit with the exact same shape there. Nothing to do with that, but okay, so here's the original video. Yes, Brian Thompson walking, not going into the Hilton. This guy comes out, no gloves, clearly a black jacket, and he takes him out. Then he supposedly flees on a bike. There's cameras everywhere, but we only see a few of them. I'm going to drop this link into the Rumble chat so you guys have it, so you can go back to it. All right, let me get back to the point. I was just going to play a video for you, but I'm wasting your time. So let me just do that, and I will come back to you in a second. So, and that's a good episode because that's where I go through like everything that was in the police reports and I take it brick by brick, yard by yard. Let me see, is this the one? No. Okay. All right. I'm sorry, guys. I got to remember that you're here. I apologize. Okay, today's headline, weekly wrap up. This could be it, actually. No. Damn, that sucks because that's a good opening video and it kind of ties it all together. Okay. All right, I'll stop. Okay, so you can find that. That is Investigate Everything. You see it scrolling across the bottom. Okay, make sure you go there and you follow, as you can see there. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing that. Okay, so where are we today? So Tom Dickey, his lawyer in Pennsylvania, basically has filed a motion to basically suppress all the evidence that came out of that Altoona arrest. Tom Dickey, Esquire, is the lawyer in Altoona, the criminal defense lawyer who's dealing with those charges. And let me just pull it up. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to drop this also into the chat so you guys can read it. We're going to take a short break, and I will be right back. Go get yourself a beer, a glass of wine, or a coffee, whatever you're doing, and I will be right back. Oh, you know what? While I'm gone, I will just go ahead and put up a little, let me see. How about a little morning mix? I wrote this on GarageBand. I'm quite proud of it. I'll be right back. Not bad for being written on my phone while I'm waiting for the train. All right. It's actually, I didn't really write it. It's other people's loops. I just kind of looped it together, but it sounds good. All right, let me share this screen with you here. And we are flashing ahead to March. And I believe this was filed on the 21st of February. Okay. Let me just pull this up for you. There we go. Okay. All right. So this is this was filed pretty recently. Interesting. It didn't make the news. But this was filed by Tom Dickey, his lawyer in Pennsylvania. Okay. And all right. This is the omnibus pretrial motion for relief. Okay. And now comes Luigi Nicholas Mangione, defendant above, named by and through his attorney Thomas M. Dickey, Esquire, and pursuant to that criminal statute 578. Petition for writ of habeas corpus. Okay. So he does that. I can make sure I got the right one here. Okay. He also, so he says all previous paragraphs are hereby incorporated as though fully set forth herein. On or about December 9th, 2024, the day of the arrest, at approximately 9:29 a.m., defendant was approached in a McDonald's located on 407 East Plank Road, Altoona, Pennsylvania, 16602 by two uniformed, armed, and fully equipped officers of Altoona Police Department, Detweiler and Fry. Said uniforms exhibited badges, patches, and other identifying insignia indicating their identity as police officers. Defendant was seated at a table, at a corner dining table that had a wall directly behind him and to his left. What he's trying to show here, just if you haven't picked it up yet, he's trying to show like there was no indication that he was free to go or free to leave, that Luigi Mangione could just get up and leave. There was also another unoccupied chair to his immediate right. Defendant's only natural path and or route of ingress-egress was to his right. Upon their arrival, Altoona police officer Detweiler immediately posted himself to the right of the defendant, blocking his exit, and within an approximate arm's length of the defendant. This action taken in order to detain and or totally curtail the liberty of the defendant and to restrict the defendant's path of travel or ingress-egress from the table where he was sitting. Quick question for the police officer who was in the audience, if you're still there. This guy is thought to be armed and dangerous. Why would they be so close? Why didn't they come full SWAT on this guy? I'm just curious. I mean, he just literally gunned down a guy very calmly, I might add, rechambering each round, shooting a total of 3 rounds, and was able to get away from New York City, which I highly doubt it was because of any skill. Is that how they would approach a guy who we saw brutally gun down someone? If I'm not saying Mangione is a guy, I'm saying it seems like you wouldn't want to be an arm's length of him if he's armed and dangerous. Just saying. Upon their arrival, immediately this action taken in order to detain or totally curtail the liberty of the defendant, and to restrict the defendant's path of travel or ingress-egress from the table he was sitting at. These actions were performed to clearly exhibit said officer's authority over defendant. The unoccupied chair was between the law enforcement officer and the defendant. No explanation was given to the defendant relative to why the police approached him at McDonald's. At most, police indicated that he had, quote, looked suspicious, and we read that in the original complaint, and had overstayed his welcome as a patron at McDonald's. Really? In Altoona, they care? Is it that full in Altoona that they need the table? I mean, the table next to him is empty. He overstayed his welcome. I mean, he's a good-looking kid who's not kind of looking like a homeless guy. Just, okay. It is stressed that the defendant was being detained, and other than that, he merely it is stressed that defendant was being detained, and other than that, he had merely overstayed his welcome as patron at McDonald's. Defendant had been at McDonald's as a paying customer for approximately 30 minutes. It is clear that Altoona Police provides a specious and unreasonable reason for approaching defendant. To wit, it must be assumed that defendant was being detained for an investigation to which he was not informed. True. The accompanying Altoona police officer, Fry, positioned himself next to Detweiler's right and next to the dining table, resulting in the formation of a human law enforcement wall, further detaining and totally curtailing defendant's liberty, while additionally restricting defendant's path of travel, ingress-egress from the table at which he was seated. Granted, I know a lot of you are thinking, well, he's a killer or he's an alleged killer. Of course they're going to do that. Yeah, but he's not under arrest at this point. Just keep that in mind. He's just been told he overstayed his welcome. The existence, position, and placement of the two Altoona police officers was intentionally done to further exhibit said officer's authority over the defendant. At no time did the two police officers indicate that the defendant was free to go, nor did they explain the reasons as to why defendant was being detained, Other than that, he looked suspicious and or overstayed his welcome as a customer at McDonald's. How do you look suspicious at a McDonald's? I mean, stop me if I'm wrong, but I've gone into some pretty shady McDonald's and everyone looks suspicious, even the workers. I can't imagine in Altoona, Luigi Mangione raised suspicion of anyone. It just is kind of weird. Upon approaching the defendant, Officer Dittweiler immediately made commands and instructions to the defendant, including but not limited to providing his identification, standing up, placing hands on head, etc., etc. The totality of the circumstances, including but not limited to the positioning, demeanor, mannerisms, commands, directives, instructions, and other actions of the Altoona Police Department showed that at the time the request for identification was made, that compliance with this request was required. Okay, let me take some comments before we go on. Okay, so all right, JD, hey, welcome, buddy. You do a great job, Ryan. Check out the Hawaiian place he was living at with other young people. Affordable housing in expensive places is a way to attract young targets for grooming. Nah, dude, I think he was actually just out there hiking, climbing, and surfing where he hurt his back. I don't think he was being groomed. I think he was a kid in his 20s with money to live with a bunch of other surfers and beach guys. And I always kind of suspected possibly lovers. I don't think he was being groomed as an assassin. I just don't think he's the assassin. It's just none of it makes sense. None of it makes sense. And by the way, that manifesto, that sounds like it was written by a sixth grader. This guy is, valedictorian from one of the most elite schools in Maryland. I think he went to Penn, top of his class. I mean, this guy's no dummy, and he's reads all the time, according to some London podcaster that kind of knew him well online. So no, I don't think he's being groomed for anything. It could be wrong, but I don't think so. But it's a fair hypothesis that, of course, we should all explore all of them. I just think, here's the thing, JD, and we know each other for many years, at least on X. I don't pursue theories. I just collect facts, as you know. And then I let them form the theories for me. In all the facts I've collected, I've seen nothing to indicate that this guy had any special training whatsoever to carry out a very calm and calculated killing, as the full video shows, which just to me is indicative of the shooter, his actions. They kind of indicate to me, with my background, and I've been around a lot of these things, that person's killed before. Like, they were not fazed by killing someone. And anyone who's ever been in that situation, they know it's a life-changing event to kill someone. So I just don't see anything in the facts I've collected. Doesn't mean they're not out there, but in what I've collected, I collect everything that is available. I'm just not seeing it. I mean, I'm just not seeing anything to support any sort of grooming towards an assassination or anything. Nor am I seeing anything in his past to indicate that he would be anti-healthcare. As a matter of fact, his family made a large part of their fortune from nursing homes, which are part of the healthcare system. And their business actually is on the Maryland board with United Healthcare. So they make money from United Healthcare. United Healthcare sits on the board in Maryland that decides where the money goes, which nursing homes it goes to. So, I mean, they're part of the very system that made them wealthy, which is why the prosecution doesn't really have a motive anymore. Remember, they said, it's because he was a disgruntled healthcare patient. No. United Healthcare actually came out and said he's never been one of their customers. Too many haystacks for NYPD. Well, I mean, if they just spoke to the facts that they had and didn't try to reassure all the tourists that New York's safe and you go to the tree lighting. And I think that's kind of what happened here. It happens all the time. There's a lot of pressure. They want to reassure the public, and that's where they make mistakes. There's a new book by John Grisham called oh God, I forgot the name of it. I'll think of it though. It's a nonfiction about wrongfully accused. Okay. And there's a great line in it where John Grisham says, every case that starts off with a theory has one thing in common: disaster. Something like that. I paraphrase, but it's true. If you chase theories, you'll find facts to fill them up. If you start an investigation with a theory, you will find enough evidence to make it happen, to make it real. Let me give you an example. When I was in the intelligence community, one of my first jobs, without going into too much detail, at a certain agency was to look through the captured hard drives of bad guys, for lack of a better term. And I'll never forget that this right after, pretty close to 9/11, this big alert went out. They're targeting the Space Needle, because they kept finding these images of the Space Needle on almost every captured terrorist hard drive. They formed a task force. They committed millions of dollars to this. Seattle was the next target. And everyone started, these are high-level discussions down there in Virginia. And all of a sudden, it's like, it makes sense. Look, it's got a definable skyline, a recognizable skyline. That's what they want to hit. As it turns out, every Windows operating system has images of the Space Needle. Why? Because that's where Microsoft is from. So you see my point? If you start with a theory, you'll find enough facts to make that theory a reality. It doesn't make it so, though. Always let the facts lead you to a theory, in my opinion. But good question. On your other question, I have not tried bioptimizers yet, but I've been taking magnesium daily for years. I also take the grass-fed beef liver. Oh, you want the bison. The wellness company's bison, as a matter of fact. That's the one you want. And you want to use Daily Clout's. You want to use Daily Clout's promo code for sure. Now, I've taken the beef ones. Honestly, I like the bison better. That's where you want to go right there, dailyclouts.com. Use code DailyClout for a 10% discount. The bison pills are, in my opinion, way better than the beef pills. And I've taken both, but, to each his own. But seriously, yeah. All right, so there is that. Let me hide that. Okay, so let's keep going through this. Defendant, wait, did we get all the comments? Okay. All right, so from Wellness, and we'll use promo code use promo code everything. And if you forget, you can use Daily Clout. It's, Peter robbing Peter to pay Paul. My wife owns the company. This just lets her know that, people heard about these great products here. And by the way, while you're there, because it is tick season, check out the medical kits. Yes, that's blood on there because I use mine. I love these. These have saved. So this is the Wellness Company's medical emergency kit. Now, what I like about this is that if you look in this, get my blue book, and let me see if I could do this without spilling it. Okay, you see all those pre-prescribed pills in there. What do we got here? We got doxycycline, great, because we have tons of ticks up here. Odenasterin, I'm not sure what that is, but that's what this little book is for. I won't show you every single one, but you can kind of see them there. What's that little pill there? Fluconazole. Okay. But get this, check out these kits. These are awesome to have around because think about it. If you don't have this kit, every time you get an infection, you need amoxicillin, you got to call the doctor. You got to get a prescription. What are they going to do? They're going to give you 1 or 2 pills. You get a tick bite. You got 48 hours before Lyme disease sets in. You're going to have to call your doctor or your online doctor. They're going to have to give you a prescription after they spend an hour of your time saying, what happened? How long has the tick been with you? No. I've got 100 pills of doxycycline. They've been prescribed by a real doctor. You can go to the Wellness Company's website, check it out. They're some of the best doctors around, Dr. Peter McCullough being one of them. But I have this stuff when I need it. Everything. And what I like too is like, if you're not sure what you should do, it has the little guidebook and all their kits have this. And This one comes with amoxicillin, doxycycline, metronidazole, trimethoprim, ivermectin, fluconazole. Okay, I'll stop, but you get the idea. It's a great kit. I'm so happy to have it. And I remember, well, let me just read what they say, and it makes a lot of sense. Don't get caught unprepared in times of emergency, natural disaster, geopolitical turmoil, bioterror attack, and resource shortages. The Wellness Company Emergency Kit series is the solution to ensuring you possess vital medical supplies. Abso-freaking-lutely. Okay, absolutely. Like, these are the kind of things, if I had the money, I would send to everyone down there in North Carolina right after that hurricane hit them, because you're going to have dysentery and all that, you know, some bad stuff. That's what people need. So it's better to be prepared and not use it than not be prepared and need it. I'm not saying they were not prepared. I think that's a whole different deal, but you know, the thing is, it's good to have this stuff around. I live up here in the woods most of the time, so it's 40 minutes for me to get to a doctor. But even when I'm in Salem or in Brooklyn, it takes forever to even get a doctor or to go to urgent care. And then you got to sit there, and then you don't even know if they're going to give you the stuff. And sometimes they give you the wrong stuff, or they're giving you the stuff they have to promote. I have everything I need right here. So check it out. dailyclouthealth.com. Use code dailyclout. Use code everything and get 10% off. But if you forget and use Daily Clout, that's fine. Good points all around, my friend. Okay, so Blue Wolf, very poor. Blue Wolf, are you a cop? I forgot. I read your email, but was he still eating? Well, Ernie, as it turns out, they might have given him the hash brown so they could get his DNA, which is totally illegal. You could get someone's DNA, but they have to be at the station. Apparently they said, "Are you hungry?" And he said, "Yeah." And they bought him some food and a drink. And then they used that to get his DNA before he was arrested. And very poorly written police report. Yeah, that's what I was asking you, Blue Wolf, if you're a police officer. Evening Blue, Ernie. If backpack was near him, did they ask if it was his? Hey, that's a really good point. Did they ever confirm it was his? No, not according to their report. Came in 66. Firmigan on Rumble. His book is great. The Sleeper Agent Trying Day. Throw a link and a title up there. I'd like to read that, Cayman. All right, guys, we're going to keep going through this. So, defendant avers that the totality of these circumstances clearly show he was seized and unlawfully detained at this time and was in custody of the Altoona Police Department. Any reasonable person in the defendant's position would have thought that she was being restrained, detained, and otherwise not free to leave. The curtailment of the defendant's liberty and the detaining of the defendant at this time was in violation and in contravention of the Fourth Amendment and the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution and under Article 1, Section 8 of the Pennsylvania Constitution. Both police officers from Altoona Police Department continued to interrogate and question the defendant. Listen to this. What is it? Like, come on now. I'm not going to tell a cop how to do their job. I actually have the highest respect for police. I meant to wear my police Midtown Precinct t-shirt for this one. Both police officers from the Altoona Police Department continued to interrogate and question the defendant without any reading of his Miranda rights as required by both the Constitution of the United States as well as the Pennsylvania Constitution. These questions were designed to potentially incriminate the defendant. What I say at the beginning of this episode, they've got a big problem on the prosecution side. Big. And you'll read some of the pundits are like, well, it doesn't really mean he's going to walk free. All the key evidence was at that arrest. It's fruit from the poisonous tree. They can't use it if a judge rules in favor of suppression of this evidence, because a lot of it was based on illegal detention. At no time did the defendant exhibit any threatening gesture or show of force. And actually, that was confirmed, if you heard, by the New York Police Commissioner. Officer Dittweiler further directed and commanded the defendant to stand up in order to undergo a Terry frisk, a pat-down, although no circumstances existed at the time justifying said action. It is averred that said actions were further performed in order to clearly exhibit the Altoona police officers' dominion and control of the defendant, as well as to further exhibit their power and authority over the defendant. By the way, Tom Dickey, if you look him up, the lawyer in Pennsylvania, he's one of the top criminal defense attorneys in the country, many years running. The Altoona Police Department took possession and control of identification materials presented by the defendant and continued retention of this material. The positioning of law enforcement officers' personnel, and the retention of the person's identification materials for a background check, evidence of criminal activity, and or other investigative measures signal to a reasonable person that they are implicitly commanding that person to remain on the scene while doing so. These are all very good arguments for a criminal defense attorney to make. Trust me, I know. I've sat in a lot of these cases. At one point, Officer Dittweiler walked outside the McDonald's while in possession of identification materials. During that brief interval, Officer Fry remained with the defendant within an arm's length and continued to curtail the liberty of the defendant, block his route and path of travel, ingress, egress, and movement from the dining table at McDonald's. I am not going to go through this whole thing. I'll let you read it. I'll post it in the thing, but let me see here. Okay, so December 9th and subsequent dates should be suppressed, and here we go. Let me just... Insofar as the seizure of the defendant and the search and seizure of the backpack and other packages were contrary to the protections afforded by the defendant, afforded to the defendant by the Fourth Amendment and the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution and Article 1, Section 8 of the Pennsylvania Constitution, any and all items obtained from the defendant on December 9th, 2024 and subsequent dates should be suppressed, and the Commonwealth should be precluded from use of the same. This would include, but not be limited to, the original identification card seized from the defendant during the initial encounter by the police, any and all items listed in Defendant's Exhibit B, any other evidence purportedly belonging to or taken from defendant. Wherefore, defendant moves, due to his illegal detention, to suppress all statements made by the defendant, all evidence seized as a result of the warrantless search of the defendant and his property. This includes, but it is not limited to, original identification cards seized by the Altoona police, and any and all other evidence that has been seized as the fruit of the poisonous tree. Okay, so that is the motion. If this motion passes, and I think it will, none of this stuff, not even the ghost gun, can be used, can be presented as evidence. Okay, so here is the docket. Okay. Now, it has here the preliminary. Okay, so that's on the 9th at 6. Oh, this is another thing too. On the 9th, the preliminary arraignment was 6:30 p.m. So if you guys remember the video where he starts shouting, keep in mind, he'd been in detention. He'd been detained since 9:30 that morning when they dragged him into that court and he started yelling. He has no idea what's going on. Hasn't been photographed at that point, as you saw from what I presented from the original complaint, which shows, they say it, he wasn't photographed or fingerprinted by 5:30 that night. And he didn't even have an attorney until after the arraignment. So just keep that in mind. His bail was denied. He's taken to the county jail, but I want to get to the point of what I just, okay, guys, I'm going to take a break for this one, because this is it. This is the thing that blew my mind. Totally blew my mind when I read this today. But let me just take a quick break. Screw it, I'm going to plow right through. But before I do, let me just make sure I have given the love to all of my wonderful sponsors. Aha. Native Path. Okay. This is what I drink every morning when I wake up. every single morning. Native Path. What this is, you see it scrolling down there. I got Native Path collagen. That's why I have these glowing nails and hair and skin. I actually do take this. I put it in my coffee. I put it in everything. And then Native Hydrate. Okay, this has all your essential amino acids. What do you need collagen for? Literally, it's the glue that holds you together. Hair, nails, skin, everything. And I gotta say, I'm so happy. I've been taking this stuff. We did the collagen challenge starting in January. My own stepdaughter said the other day, your guys' skin looks great. And that was a nice compliment. I never get compliments from young people. They always poke my gut and say I'm fat, and that felt good. So yes, it's working. I feel great. I'm never sore, and collagen and amino acids every day. So go to getnativepath.com/daily clout, and you can stock up on all your Native Path collagen. You're going to want the collagen. It's awesome. It's awesome. I just put it in my coffee. I put it in a glass of milk, whatever. But it is wonderful. Okay. This is the part that will blow your mind. I couldn't believe this one. I read it. It's crazy. Okay. But before we go there, guys, seriously, go to Rumble, go to Investigate Everything on Daily Clout. Just type in Investigate Everything. It'll pop right up. I need your follows. Okay. There's a little thing going on here. I want to beat my wife's audience numbers. My wife is Naomi Wool. She has double the audience I have, and it's just kind of like a fun married ego thing. But the real reason I want to do that, get those numbers up, is so more people can be aware of this. Like this case here, this is important because this could have been you eating that hash brown with your hoodie and your mask because they make you wear a mask in Pennsylvania. Could have been you. Can you imagine if you didn't know this stuff? I'm not saying I'm the teacher or all that, but like, this is why it's so important to know your rights. Like it's just so important. So when we hold our justice system to their own standards, it's vital to our way of life. Because if we let this case go through the way it currently is, and this isn't even talking about the timelines from the other episodes, and definitely check those out on Rumble. But just the sloppiness. I mean, come on, guys. Come on, Altoona police. Miranda rights? Are you kidding me? My son, when he was 6, would know to read someone their Miranda rights because he'd peek at Law and Order over my shoulder. I mean, he watched Batman. I mean, the thing is, it's like Miranda rights. And I'm not a police officer. I'm not going to judge. But please, police officers in the audience, what the hell, man? Who would make such a mistake? Unless they did read his Miranda rights, but now this is a huge theory based on no facts, okay? Except for the facts that they have a horrible case on the prosecution side, so I don't want to contradict myself. I always have said they're going to want this case to go away because I think they got the wrong guy. And yes, Chris Cuomo's producer. I remember I told you this. They were going to have me on their show, and I said, I don't think he did. And they were like, wow, what do you mean? There's evidence. And I was like, I don't think he did. And I've gone through the evidence. And then the producer, really nice girl, by the way, she texted me back. She's like, yeah, we're going to reschedule you for another time. I was like, oh, all right. So there it is. So I'm telling you, I just don't think. Okay, so Blue Wolf says, Brian Holmes said it best. It's a capital mistake to theorize before one has data. When you have eliminated the possible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. Great point, and I always tell people I eliminate leads before I try to support them. And then I try to build the 1 or 2 leads I have left, and then I see which one wins the fight between those. Absolutely. Eyes gone for the night. Yeah, I know. I'm rambling on. Okay, before you go, Blue Cayman, because you came all this way. Let me see the way the process panned. Yeah, total foobar. Or it was done on purpose to give Alvin Bragg and the Pennsylvania Police Department a way out. Sucks for the arresting cops. Gives them a way out. Hey, public, we had him, but they screwed up, so he's free to go. Because this kid's family is pretty rich, and he's going to have a ton of lawsuits against people. Luigi Mangione, if he walks on this, the civil suits are going to be biblical. They've done documentaries pretty much accusing him. People have called him guilty. Mayor Adams in New York, he's got a big problem. He referred to him as guilty. They are screwed. Like he's going to go through them like a wrecking ball because his lawyer in New York is married to P. Diddy's lawyer. Like they're ready to rock. And I think she's letting them, have enough, rope or net to like kill themselves with it, because there's just not a case here, in my opinion. And guys, think about this. Go through all the footage we have available. Can anyone put Luigi Mangione in New York City in December? Can anyone? Do you have video of it? No. Got a video of a hostel 10 days earlier, November. We got a federal complaint saying that he went to the hostel on the 24th to case out the Hilton Hotel and the conference, the investor conference. However, we have no conference announced until the 26th. And trust me, I've gone through with a fine-tooth comb. There's no mention of that conference until the 26th of November. So how the hell was Luigi Mangione casing anything out if no one knew when the conference was and where it was? It wasn't always at the Hilton every year. The only mention of it before then was the CEO, the overall CEO, said, and we'll see in New York in December, back in July, at an audio conference for shareholders. It was also an institutional investors conference, meaning it was like the bigwigs, the banks, family offices. Like this is the people that make stocks moves. This isn't, people like me with a small account buying 100 shares. So it would be invite only. It's not something that's publicly announced. But you're telling me Luigi Mangione went there on November 24th to case out something he wouldn't have known about until the 26th? Read my Substack. I cut this apart. I cut it apart. All right. Time of search, guys. Okay, remember the arraignment was at 18:30. According to this from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, receipt inventory of seized property. This is the headline. You heard it here first. Okay. And yes, I do want a shout out for everyone. I don't want anyone stealing this headline because I've worked on this and that's all I want, because I want people to pay attention to detail. Time of search. You see it right there. You see it? 18:27. So 3 minutes before his arraignment, they do a search? Are you kidding me? December 9th, right there, 1827. And then they find the red notebook, the manifesto, the multiple handwritten note. But wait, time out. Wait, stop. Hold on. Wait a minute. Where'd it go? The original complaint says, there it is, that they found the notebook. I mean, the gun and all that. They found it. But this original complaint was signed on at 5:13, where they said they found the gun. They said they went back to the station. It says it right here. Went back to the station, placed into custody. The defendant was then transported to Altoona Police Department, where his property was inventoried pursuant to the Altoona Police Department's policy. During a search of the defendant's backpack, officers located a 3D printed pistol, black silencer. Pistol had a metal slide. You get the rest. Oh, by the way. Yeah. Yeah. Do you see it? What's missing? What's missing from the original criminal complaint on the 9th? What is it? Do you guys see what's missing? You hear what's missing? Notebook. Am I wrong? Let me just double check so I don't make an ass of myself. Table. Identification. Okay, it said he's sitting there with his laptop, blue medical mask. Male also had a backpack on the floor. Okay, New Jersey's driver's license, took the license, ran the information dispatch center. Okay, at the time, dispatch couldn't find any information, blah, blah, blah. Mail then stated, driver's license, blah, blah, blah. Defendant was placed into custody. Defendant was handcuffed and then searched on the scene. Defendant was then transported to Altoona Police Department. When they got back there, they searched a backpack. During a search of the defendant's backpack, officer located a 3D printed pistol and black silencer. Pistol had a metal slide and a plastic handle with a metal threaded barrel. Pistol had one loaded Glock magazine. There was also a loose 9mm round. No mention of no mention of a notebook. But wait a minute. Didn't Alvin Bragg and Mayor Adams and Commissioner Tisch clearly doing a press conference no later than 5:30 say that there was a manifesto? You would think if there was a manifesto, it's not even a manifesto, it's garbage, but the thing they're calling manifesto, you would think that'd be important enough to mention here, but it's not. No notebook is mentioned. That's the original complaint on December 9th. These are all in, you can find most of these in my Substack, but I'll put them in the Rumble description. See, I'm keep herding you towards Rumble. Okay, so let's go back to that. There it is. Okay, so now they're hurriedly, apparently, doing a search at 1827, a mere 3 minutes before the arraignment. Apparently, they're searching it while Mangione's out there in the courtyard screaming at everyone, because he was screaming at everyone. And then they find a red notebook manifesto, and multiple handwritten notes. Police officers in the audience, red notebook manifesto? How do they know it's a manifesto? Could you read that? Well, I read it to you. It sounds like rantings. It doesn't even... They had time to read it in 3 minutes? Wait a minute. The timelines are all messed up here because New York already knew about the manifesto, but they're just searching this 3 minutes before the arraignment, as you can see at 1827. Now, some people might say, oh, they made a mistake on the time. Doesn't matter. These are official documents. That's what defense does. That's how you lose cases right there. Lack of attention to detail. U.S. passport, Maryland, 3 cards, debit, credit for Luigi Mangione, homemade 3D printed silencer. How do they know it's homemade? 1 9mm magazine with 12 rounds of 3 hollow point. Currency, foreign currency of, I can't tell, but that looks like $1.62, or is it 1,060 foreign currency? AAA batteries, wired headphones, 32 kilobyte travel disc, Polaroid digital camera, mini hard drive, USB, medical mask, COVID mask, a watch, a pen, a rope, a flashlight, USB from wallet, USB on necklace, CVS receipt, USD. What do you buy at CVS? USB times 2, mini SIM card. Okay. Pocket knife. Yep. We all have a pocket knife. Screwdriver, baggies, and zip ties. Okay. Best Buy receipt. We don't know what's on the Best Buy receipt. Greyhound bus transit from Philly to Pittsburgh. Fake New Jersey driver's license. Quick trip ticket. Are they talking? No. Like trip ticket, like AAA? Nah. Please say it ain't so. No one that age would use that. Visa gift card, 2 handwritten notes, medical face mask, 25 count, handwritten note from backpack, iPhone SIM card, MacBook Pro laptop, black jacket, green jacket, brown beanie, black gloves, black belt, black. Okay. All right. Under Armour. So then taken off, this is taken off him at 1827. I don't think it was a mistake. They wrote it twice. Under Armour leggings, black backpack with clothing, hair clippers, something wrappers. It's hard. Foil wrappers. I can't tell. Food wrappers. Wireless earphones, black shoes, black jeans, black neck guard. Okay. Black neck guard is like a gator. He had that in the... All right, so arraignment's at 1830. He doesn't get a lawyer till after the arraignment. They're just searching the backpack. Time of search, says it right there, 1827, but somehow Alvin, New York, knew what was in the backpack before they searched it. Kind of see my point here? And the other people apparently searched it, but didn't find half of these things, or even put the manifesto or a notebook on the original complaint. But all of a sudden, everything that was said at the press conference in New York is suddenly in the backpack. Because they're searching the backpack according to that document that they signed after they heard the press conference. This case is crap. Okay? Whether Mangione did it or not, this case cannot... It can't win. Because if it does win, there's some major flaws with our system, as we know. But this is this is a typical Alvin Bragg case. Okay, he runs with things. He impulsively runs after things. He chases theories. Then he tries to quickly find the facts to fill in the blanks. And for everyone out there that said, oh, he did it, I've got him on video. Go back and watch the video. What do you got? Go back and find me any video that confirms this kid was in New York, even in the month of December. Seriously. So it just, it gets me mad because I think of, this defendant I had, and I felt so bad for him. And I felt bad for him because he clearly hadn't done it. We even found out that the chief witness for the police lied to the grand jury and admitted it. You're welcome. I made that happen. I did a little manipulation of my own. But he was still held for a year, and this guy could barely articulate to us. It's not his fault, And what I feel is going on here is they rushed. They caved to public pressure, or no, they caved to public pressure, in my opinion. And this is the kind of thing with these stupid People's Action Group protests and everything. Like, this is how messes are made. This is how things fall apart. I mean, this is what Alvin Bragg did to our president. This is what they do to J6 prisoners. Okay, when they were tried. They ran with theories, they ran with emotions, and the facts are lacking. Now, I'm not saying he's innocent or guilty. What I am saying is they don't have a freaking case. Okay, this kid should walk. Because they cannot prove he was even in New York. And let me show you one more thing, and then we're going to call it a night. And it gets me mad. It gets me so mad. Because I've watched those prosecutors who just, you're like, okay, dude, there's no DNA on my guy. There's DNA all over your chief witness. She lied about having a knife the night of the murder. And you're still going to go forward with this case that won't be seen for another year while this guy sits in a box with no AC in the middle of the summer in Alexandria because his pissed off ex-wife accused him and you wanted to get your numbers and you can't back down off a case. They should tap out on this one because I don't think this kid did it. Okay? Not because I like Luigi, not because I hate United Healthcare. I don't have anything against anyone or healthcare. I don't think he does either. But this could be anyone. And if this case goes forward, well, hell, based on precedents alone, they could just arrest anyone for anything and say, you did it. Oh, and here's a bunch of stuff because we heard a press conference. We're going to add that to the list. one more thing. Sorry. It just pisses me off. And look, I'm not anti-cop or anti-prosecution. I'm anti-laziness. I'm anti-sloppiness. I'm anti-no attention to detail. I'm anti-not owning it. Hey, you know what? You made a mistake. You arrested the wrong guy. Let him go and be on your way. Everyone forgets when you make a mistake and you just apologize for it and you try to make it right. People will never forget when you turn something into a circus because you couldn't back down off something because of political pressure. And the New York Post even reported that it was alleged that United Healthcare was leaning on all these justice departments because they were worried about the security of their officers. And so they had to make an example of Luigi Mangione to protect their own people, so they say. I want to give you my theory on this case so badly, but I won't because I'm not done investigating it. I don't want to contradict myself. But, all right. Here's what I'm doing. I'm just pulling up the map. Okay. And I am going to show you the absurdity of the routes taken. Okay. All right. Okay, so let me share this with you, and then I'm going to go to bed. I do really enjoy working on this case, and I hope it has a good ending for everyone involved. You know, and my heart does go out to Brian Thompson's family, and, you know, I hope the people who are cheering on the assassinations of innocent people burn in hell. All right. Here we go. That's when I know it's time to go to bed, is when I start losing control of my temper. All right, so here. Does this make any sense to anyone? Don't pay attention to all of those tags. Those are past investigations. So you're being hunted. And you, right about here, let me get down to 54th. There we go. There's a Star Stage Deli. By the way, guys, that's the Starbucks. That's the Star Stage Deli where he threw out the water bottle. That's a Hilton. So they're saying the water bottle they found over here had his fingerprints on it. Okay, whatever. Then he flees through Central Park. Then he exits. Decides to head north, so he gets off the bike. And then, gets off the bike here at 85th. Supposedly is seen here. This is supposedly where he picked up the cab. Goes clear up to, I share this map with you guys. Goes clear up to this George Washington bus terminal. There you go. So you see these tags. This is where I tagged this case. And then he leaves. So with everyone in the world hunting for him, there is a bus route, by the way, that takes 80 west. There's a million ways you could go. But for some reason, this guy, with his allegedly his gun still on him, decides to go all the way down to Philadelphia, another population center, before heading all the way to Altoona, Pennsylvania. So you got to ask yourself, why would anyone do that? Now, people say why Altoona, because I think he was heading to Pittsburgh, according to that report. So he probably was, wanted to get a place for the night. Apparently he tried to get a hotel for the night and it was turned down. There's a report I have somewhere on that. Or there were no rooms or something like that. And then they don't have any photos of him in the George Washington bus station. That seem odd to you guys? You know why, in my opinion? This is a guess, not a theory. I'm not pursuing this because I don't have enough evidence to pursue it, so it'd be a waste of my time. You know why I think they don't have any pictures of him in that bus station, or really any pictures? They don't really have any in context pictures of Luigi Mangione except for the hostel. Think about it. The only pictures they have that can actually put him in a place at a certain time based on his face, his recognizable face, are from the hostel on November 24th. Those taxi cab pictures, go look at them. They've cropped out the dates, the times. Check them out. Oh, also, it was raining that day too, and the taxi, just saying, taxi pictures are pretty sunny. I should go back and look at the weather on the 24th. I bet it was sunny then too, because I bet you money that's where the taxi pictures are from. That's where they're from, when they're from. Here's what I think, guys, because I've taken this bus route many times. Where's Mangione from? Mangione is from Towson, Maryland. I worked down at Fort Meade. I know this area extremely well. The most used bus route, especially if you might want to go see the tree lighting, goes through Philadelphia. So let's do a theory here. You're Mangione. You're heading up to New York for whatever reason. You know, it's Christmas. Everyone goes to New York, especially from Baltimore or from Maryland. You're taking the bus. All of a sudden, there's all this news all over the place saying, you're being hunted. It's clearly you. You get to Philadelphia. You say, screw that. I'm not going to keep going up here. Or you're just visiting a friend in Philadelphia because he did go to, school in Pennsylvania. You see this all over the news. You get on the next bus and you take it as far west as you can. Okay, as far west as you can. You're just looking for some time to get a lawyer. You're a kid of privilege, so you know to call a lawyer. You're not going to try to hide out in the woods or anything. That's what I think happened. I think he was heading north, maybe heading to see a friend. Heard all the news, never went to New York, decided to head 393 miles west, and trying to get a lawyer. And he may have very well gone to Altoona or gone this far over so he could get, Tom Dickey is one of the top lawyers. At least he's in his jurisdiction. I don't know. I just don't think he was in New York because I haven't seen any proof that he was in New York in December of 2024. Okay, and I've gone through everything that's available to us. Maybe I'm missing something, but it doesn't make sense, guys. Don't think this is the guy. Think they got the wrong guy. And as Janine Eunice said on my podcast with her, check it out. I will put it in the chat. She's never in her career, this was shocking. She said in her career, she's never seen a prosecutor back down, even though when all the evidence said they were wrong. And I concur. So it's up to us to investigate this and present it. And not present it to prove anyone innocent or guilty. Just present the facts or lack thereof in these statements. When they make statements, they say, he did this, he was here. Was he? Can you prove it? Because if you can't prove it, you don't have a case. That's all I got to say. So, guys, thanks for joining me. I really enjoyed this tonight. It's been a while, and now, Cousin Ernie, I have a... No, I'm not saying that. Welcome, Bon Jobison. No. You start saying those things, you become biased. No, we don't. No, I don't want him for president. No way. Oh yeah. Hey, good point. You're right, Ernie. There were no black gloves inventoried. Of course, the shooter wasn't wearing black gloves. Which is who does that? Like, who shoots someone without gloves? Like, anyone who's seen any assassin movie knows that. It's unless they wanted a reason to say that his fingerprints were found at the scene. No D-Win. Got it. Okay, the police officer's name. What was the time and date and place on the receipts? I can't really see the receipts, so I don't know. I'll have to look at, I don't know if those are available to the public. Great question. Really great question. Hopefully we'll find out more soon. Not there. You're right. No gloves. Oh, you're right, though. They did say in the original 911, black gloves. You're right. You're absolutely correct. But the shooter wasn't wearing gloves. So why would a shooter not wear gloves? One theory. Okay, I'll indulge you in one theory. I think his co-defendants in the insider trading case, both of whom made over $100 million, whereas Brian Thompson only made $14 million, had him taken out. I think he was walking by the Hilton, not into the Hilton. Clearly, when you saw that video, he's walking by the entrance, not into the entrance. Yeah, I think he was going to meet. Probably he was going to inform on that so he could get a better deal. And that's usually the guy they go to, is the guy who made the least amount of money. Okay, the Sir Andrew Whitty is probably untouchable, so you got to have that insider. And I'm sorry, 6:44 in the morning, the thing's at 8 o'clock. How would any shooter know to be there at that time? He didn't stake it out all night. He got there 10 minutes before Brian Thompson walked by, according to the federal complaint. What amazing luck to be there an hour and 16 minutes ahead of the conference. And lo and behold, you show up and your target, the guy you want to shoot, is just right there, right walking by. Yeah, bullshit. All right, it's a crap case. We'll see how it goes. We're going to keep monitoring it. Please, if you would, go and follow me on Rumble and spread the word. And every time you feel emotion when you're making a statement, check yourself and start reading facts. Because if you're speaking with emotion, you're biased. And facts will bring you back to that place of truth and transparency. So with that, I will sign off and call it a night. I actually have to be at the VA tomorrow at 8:30, so it's going to be a long morning. Get my head checked out. So there we go. Guys, have a great night. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. This has been Brian O'Shea with Investigate Everything. We're going to stay on this case. We're also staying on the California fire case. Apparently, according to Owen Schroyer today was reporting on the mayor of LA is apparently deleting her official text. Wonder why she did that. Fun fact, the day before she got to Rwanda, the largest used garment district in Rwanda burnt to the ground the day before Bass got there. Guess what is LA's #1 export to Rwanda? Used garments. Puts you in a great bargaining position, doesn't it? Also, there's 1,400 affordable houses that were turned down because they were too close to single families. All those single families are gone in the very place that she wanted to build those 1,400 units. So there's a lot to investigate because we investigate everything. I do read your emails. Keep sending me those leads. Connect the dots. And guys, thanks for joining me, and I will talk to you soon. Back here Wednesday, 8 o'clock for Investigate Everything with Daily Clout. Make sure you also go to dailyclout.io, subscribe for your free newsletter. We got lots of great shows on there. Naomi Wolf, Drew, and oh my God, everyone. And there's also Legisector. Check it out. It is a free searchable for bills where you can actually post to the bills and the bills drafters and a whole lot more. Check out Legisector at Daily Clout. You won't be sorry you did. And it lets you keep an eye on things when they're changing. So go ahead. Also follow me on Twitter if you haven't already, or X, Brian O'Shea, SBI, and brianocshea.substack.com. More good stuff is coming. This is how we create a slow or no-go zone for our enemies. And anyone that is flouting the law is definitely enemies of the state. Have a great night. This has been Brian O'Shea. Investigate Everything. Salute.